3, 2, 1.
Here we go! Welcome to MadGaines Live. I'm your host, Cassandra Gaines. Happy Freight Friday. We're here again, ladies and gentlemen. It is beautiful Las Vegas. We are here at the Lean MasterMind event at Resort Worlds in Las Vegas. I feel bad for anybody who's not here. I'm sorry. It's so fun. We've got Super Bowl parties. We've got panels. We've got great discussions. And of course, we've got Freight Friday alcohol. I'm very excited to introduce my guest here. So first, everybody knows Hannah. So we're going to pause on Hannah for a minute.
Of course.
Brent,
Yes.
could you introduce yourself to everybody and also pretend that nobody knows Truckstop as well?
Oh my goodness. In what way?
Like they're like, what is Truckstop?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
You
Oh,
and Truckstop.
I'm happy to do that. Well, first, it's great to be here with
Thank you.
and Hannah, my good friend. And so I'm Brent Hutto. I'm the chief relationship guy at Truckstop. People call me the chief fun guy, which I have the best job in all of America, which I get to go out and talk to everybody inside of freight transportation and just talk to them about what's important about it and how we can help their business. Truckstop was founded a long time ago as far as technology is concerned, 27 years ago, and we help small carriers and brokers in the industry move freight. That's basically what we do. We connect the technology and the data together to make it easy for them to transact and move freight. And I get up every day, Cassandra, and I don't ever feel like I go to work because I know what I get to do is to help people accomplish their dreams, because it's a big dream of small carriers and people that get in the brokerage industry to kind of own their own business and run their own business. And we get to do business with so many thousands of them, and every day just fires me up to be able to do that and help them achieve their dreams. So I got the best job in America.
You do. I love that.
Yeah, man, it's awesome.
All right, so now I'm going to transition to my best friend, you guys, and my
There you
favorite
go.
person. You come back again. Thank you for coming back. I didn't know if we scared you away last year in Vegas, but you're back. Yay. Hannah, for those people who do not know you, could you introduce yourselves? And also, if you could tell us a little bit about Amazon.
Sure. So Hannah McClellan, and I joined Amazon Transportation Services back in 2017 and have been there for the past, 5.5 years, and have been leading Amazon Freight, who's our external trucking company, for about the past 3 years. And the first half of my career at Amazon was all on the consumer side. So, I think of like the Amazon store as in consumers know it, before I moved over to Worldwide Ops. So I appreciate that you think you have the best job in America. I would throw my name in the hat. I think, working at Amazon on the consumer side for so long, I felt so connected to just the general population and all of our shopping customers. And so I always said I kind of traded shoppers for shippers when I moved into ops, and didn't really know what to expect. And I think I have felt the same kind of connection with the industry that you described. So I may not be serving our shoppers anymore, but just thinking about everyone from our shipper customers to the folks that drive for us. It's a really neat way, I think, to apply everything I learned in Amazon product management and tech to a completely new and different industry, at least for me. So
That's a great feeling.
It is a great feeling. So, all right. So today, you guys, we're going to talk about how to drive efficiency, but still meet your customers' expectations. And that's a big theme here at this event, at this mastermind event. Lean is one of those companies that helps a lot of companies in this industry drive efficiency and meet their customers' expectations. So that's a big theme going on. But today, and we'll get to that topic in just a moment, but I want to talk about some personal items that I love doing. So first of all, Hannah, okay.
This was not on the pre.
No, it was not.
She's going off script already.
It wasn't a pre at all. So, okay, what I know I know everything about Hannah, but Hannah is, I don't know if you guys know this, but she's a math genius. She went to these amazing schools. She went to MIT, and she goes to Amazon, works with like the best and most brilliant, and then they toss her into freight. And I want to know, Hannah, what did you think when you started working in freight and you were like, what's going on, and getting the hang of things? And what did you think of the industry in general? And did you enjoy it? Were you terrified? Were you like, oh my God, this is a hot mess. What is going on? Like, give me some of your thoughts. I'm just imagining little Hannah, like.
I think your perception of how I felt walking into freight and my perception were like
completely different.
Really? Different, because again, spending a lot of time at Amazon, but working in different jobs, you're moving from one business to another, but largely the vernacular is the same, like the basic flywheel and the playbook that we use to run the business is the same. I moved over into freight, and I actually remember telling someone at one point, like, I just don't even understand anything they say. I don't know the acronyms. I don't know what's a bobtail. Like I knew nothing. And so, kind of walked in feeling pseudo smart. And then, I was like, I'm adding no value whatsoever. And it was a good, like, I would say very steep learning curve for me. And at one point I guess I did eventually like learn the lingo and start to understand what was going on. And I think when the switch flipped for me was when I recognized that heading into it, I thought I was going from, north to south, left to right, like completely different space. And then suddenly I realized that this industry was in so much, need, I think, of the type of at Amazon, we would say customer focused product development and reinvention that Amazon has made its name, doing in other sectors. And so all of a sudden I realized it's actually not that different. Like, again, shippers instead of shoppers. And, it's obviously much more operational than maybe some of the work I've done in the retail side. But it was, once I learned what you guys were talking about, then the transition was like way more seamless than I think I ever imagined.
All right. That was a lot of credit given to our industry from that. Because I imagine her being like, oh my Lord, this is a shit show. And I'm going to clean it all up and own it. Just kidding. Okay. So now on to Brent.
Yep.
AC/DC. I wore my AC/DC shirt today. I actually found this at a thrift shop. It's one of my favorite shirts.
AC/DC?
It's not. That's
So
not
you
what
got
you
Kiss on that shirt there
Hey,
last time I
so
checked.
have another drink, Cassandra. Just keep drinking. Just keep going.
Paul and Ace and
I would like to
Gene
tell
are
you
probably
that my
getting mad at you.
AC/DC shirt is my favorite shirt.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Who doesn't love some
So
AC/DC? though?
I love AC/DC.
I love
Okay,
AC/DC.
Kiss.
Wish I
You
would've
guys,
seen
for
it.
those of you who are just listening, I'm actually wearing a Kiss shirt.
You handled that well.
Nice transition.
And it's a great shirt. I found this one in a thrift shop too. And I'm just going to keep on drinking,
There you
fucking this
go.
all up.
That's great.
That's what I have you guys for, to just keep me polished and keep me going. But the second you saw this shirt, what did you tell me?
Oh my gosh, that was the first concept. What I told you was I love the shirt. And it was because it was the first concert that I went to.
And how old were you?
And I know everyone gets shocked by this.
Yep.
I went in the 4th grade to see Kiss, 1976. I went with my older brother who was in the 6th grade. And believe it or not, my super cool 5'1", 100-pound mom went with us. And it was just so much fun. And I, as a kid, I remember sitting there going, what is that funny smell I smell all over the place? and my mom, it was really funny. My brother and I, she knew what it was. But my mom, when we were going to the door, this is when the general admission was the big deal. So it's me, 4th grade, my brother, 6th grade, and my mom. This is 1976, general admission. We're all crowded up to the door. My brother drops his ticket because, we wanted to hold our tickets as little boys because we were, we wanted to act like big people. And so he drops his ticket. And we get to the door. They won't let my mom in. She's like begging them. These are my kids. They're yelling at me. Let us all in. It's like, no. So my mom says, here, Randy, my brother, take my ticket. Y'all go inside. I'll stand here and get inside.
It's like the coolest mom
the coolest mom ever. She used to come to Auburn when I was at school and slam dance when we'd have band stuff. She's still the coolest ever. So my mom, of course, she's not going to let her 2 little boys stand inside by themselves. 2 minutes later, my mom's there with us. I'm like, how'd you get in? She goes, they're not going to keep me out.
No.
And my mom's been that way her whole life. So yeah, but Kiss is a big deal.
What's her name?
Donna Marie.
Cheers.
Here's to Donna. That's
Donna.
right.
Hands down.
Here's to Donna
Donna's
Marie.
awesome.
Yeah, she's the best. My kids, my 6 children call her Gigi. So that's her name, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But she's the best. So Kiss is a big deal. It's what's that first big band? That, Led Zeppelin, and Jefferson Starship were the first 3 big bands that were cool to me.
And what was your first concert?
Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Which I would also, I have to give my mom a shout out. Yeah, I was 5. Was 19.
Oh, you beat me.
Yeah.
5.
I was 5, and Michael Jackson came to Knoxville, Tennessee, where I grew up.
That's so
and
cool.
it was the first time Neyland Stadium had ever let someone do a concert in Neyland Stadium. And so
because that's hallowed ground.
It is.
Yeah, that's hallowed ground.
A moment of silence. And they let him build a stage. And I think my mom and her then at the time, best friend who also had a daughter my age, they were like, we gotta go. And so we went, and I mean, you don't really remember things from I have like bits and just flashes of that.
But I bet that was magical.
Oh, yeah.
And I love my mom too.
Oh my God. I love your mom. Cheers to Martha.
Cheers to Martha.
We got here's to Martha.
We call her Moo. Her grandma's
Moo. I love it. I love it.
But back to fruits.
back to freight.
Back
So
to
we
what
do-
pays the bills. I get it.
Yes, we do have to talk about things that often everyone's thinking about this. They're thinking about the market. They're watching what everybody's saying on TV. They're watching what reading these analyst reports, which are usually wrong. And we've been hearing the doomsday, and now things are leveling out a bit. So we don't know what to expect. So the questions I have for you both are very similar, but in a way very different. So I'll start with you, Hannah. So for Amazon, we're always interested in what's going on with Amazon. I know you're like, I live with it every day, but the rest of us are like, what is Amazon up to? So for you in 2023 for Amazon and the freight team, how are you driving efficiency but still meeting your customer demands and those types of initiatives?
Good question. I think, well, anytime you put an Amazon executive in an interview and ask them about their strategy, we're always going to say we start with the customer and work backwards.
Smart.
And it sounds boilerplate, like it's as true today as it was 12 years ago. But I think when I think about this year and certainly what we've heard most recently from our shipper customers, unsurprisingly, it all comes back to pricing and everyone just kind of watching the financials of their business. And so I think we're a tech company. So when we think about like how can we best address and manage both our own costs and then the prices that we surface, probably 3 areas come to mind. I think number one, looking at how we optimize matching our supply to our demand. So we have different sources of capacity, both in terms of dedicated Amazon freight partners and our relay drivers, and then all the way out to even our intermodal part of the business. And so making sure that and the routing algorithms. So to me, that's just sort of core optimization part of the business. Number two would be our pricing algorithms, and I think that's a big investment area for us this year. And ensuring that maybe even more so than the past, that like those algorithms are taking into account rising fuel prices, and they're taking into account inflation, and really making sure that we're setting prices both for contract and spot that are attractive to shippers, but give them the flexibility to engage with us, as what's most comfortable and best for them. And then lastly, I think probably an area we underinvested in, like in the recent past, and are looking to correct, and that's using tech to ensure that in an inevitably variable and disruption-prone industry, that we have communication tech that will allow our drivers and our shippers and us to be in relatively seamless communication, so that when disruptions do happen, we can recover quickly. Because no matter how good your pricing is, like disruptions are costly for everybody. So those are probably three. And then the fourth one I'd call out, that's harder to put a dollar figure around though. But when I think about like what do we talk to shippers about and what makes Amazon Freight special, is safety. And so you've probably heard me say it before, but in this year we are putting upwards of $1 billion into various safety tech and safety operational improvements, primarily in our fleet. And so think of just super smart trailers with sensors that have everything to do with lights and cargo stability and braking systems, weight, so that we can catch things and catch risks before they happen. So I think between lower prices and higher safety, that's what we're trying to come out with this year.
That's a lot. Tell me a little bit more about the communication piece. So what does that look like?
Sure. Well, so we have our Relay app, and so anyone hauling one of Amazon's trailers, is like their connectivity to us is through the Relay app, and then they have the ability to both communicate with their shipper to let them know of anything that might be either delaying them, or if they have a question and they think they're there, and then also making sure I would say some of it is like seamless, so it's they don't know they're communicating with us, but we can pick up on if we anticipate they're not going to make it where they need to be on time, and then just it's a mix of, I would say, tech and then manual operations. We have a Relay operations center in Phoenix that is manned by really the heart and soul of what keeps Amazon Freight running, which is a team of associates that responds and manages to those disruptions. So when we can automatically resolve them, great. If not, then drivers have in their hands the ability to both connect with either the shipper or our support team to get the help they need on the road.
I love that, and I think we're hearing constantly at different platforms and on different podcasts the importance of visibility, and customers want to know where their freight is, and drivers want to know how they can resolve things. So that is powerful that you've built that in. And so, okay, I'm going to switch to Brent because we only have a few minutes left. The time flies.
Doesn't it?
So
Every
tell
time.
me about how Truckstop's driving efficiency, and and meeting the expectations of their customers, because you have a diverse group of customers.
We do. That's a good way to put it. It's always interesting sitting with a leader like Hannah and Amazon and hearing what their challenges are and hearing how they're trying to solve them. And when you're a major player in a segment, a leader in a segment like Amazon is, and Truckstop's a leader in their segment, and when you have almost no real competitors from the standpoint, and Amazon's sort of in that same boat as well.
No.
Well, I'm talking about from the standpoint of size. Yes. So you have competitors, but yeah, I realize that. I realize that. But I'm saying when I say real, I just mean there's scope and scale to everything that goes on. And so, and by the way, I'm happy that Hannah's in the industry because we need more smart mathematics people solving those problems. And in the last 10 years, you've seen this marketplace move forward really, really fast with people outside of the industry finding this industry very compelling and interesting and seeing problems that are worth solving. Yes. You know, you don't go to MIT and you don't just join some business about a paycheck. You go, oh, I want to solve a problem because of the way in which you go about your life and what's significant to you. And so at Truckstop, we got the same thing.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you for 1 second.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on that. When I was at the Manifest conference, there were, despite the market, there were, I don't even startup tech guys walking around saying, oh, I'm just here to build on ideas. I have funding, but I'm just looking for ideas in the transportation industry. And it still was baffling me. I'm like, wow, we're still going. But go ahead, you
I have hundreds of conversations in my position with the company. I'm the leading person that talks to all the people that are new in the industry that want to partner with us, do something unique. And it's always fun listening to what problems they're trying to solve. But for us, we service two basic customers. We service a very small carrier, a lot of times known as an owner-operator, a guy or a girl that owns 1 to 10 trucks in that category. So they're very, very small businesses, and they have somewhat uncomplex approaches to it, but they have to have a technology that applies to it, because if we don't create it and supply it to them, they don't go create it themselves. And then you kind of go over to the other side where you have the brokerage side of the marketplace and the 3PLs. And they're just a litany of somebody who works at a kitchen table and tries to move freight to the largest publicly traded billion-dollar companies. And you got tech that has to apply all across that spectrum. And then you have to take that tech and match it to the carriers over here who are, for the most part, low tech, the best professionals at moving freight on the planet, but low tech from a standpoint of their need. And then you have to put it into a system where it all works. And it all has to work lightning fast. So the best freight on Truckstop, if it's got all the data in it, including the pricing and everything else, it moves in 60 seconds or less. So if you don't have all the data sitting right in front of you and you can look at it and you're a carrier, you miss it, which means you may miss that more profitable load. So we have to take data and connect it all together for two parties that in some cases don't inherently trust each other a whole lot. It's getting a lot better because of the transparency of data. We kind of started that in 1995 when we made it transparent for everybody. We believe that fundamentally that everybody deserves transparency. So be able to do that to provide efficiency in the market from a standpoint of prescriptives. What is the easy pathway for them to be able to communicate and get freight moving? So that's really what we work on. We work on it every day for carriers and brokers. And the more we do that, the better freight moves and the more happy Hannah is, which is very important to me.
Oh, you see how this panel's going? I like it. So we just have a few minutes left, but I do want to ask you if you're willing to share what is the market looking like, because your company almost has a thumb right on the pulse.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And so what are you anticipating for this year, and what are you seeing in comparison to what we're just hearing out
there?
Yeah,
well, I'm happy to talk about that. And I do that almost every week when I speak. I just left a conference in Amelia Island, and so I flew across the country. I spoke on the same thing there. What happened in, I'll take you back to 2018, 2019, which was the biggest market we had in 38 years. And everyone was like, oh, this is so incredible. It's fantastic. So it was about a distance of about this far. Okay, maybe this far, but this far. So that was 2018, 2019. And the way it came back down to normal was an angle of it like this. All right, and I'm just using hand gestures here for ease. The pandemic started in 2020 and went through the end of 2022, and its length was like this long. Yeah. And it was the biggest market we've ever had in 40 years. It's the biggest thing ever, and because consumer behavior changed, our lives changed. Yeah. And so purchasing changed, and everything changed. So all that stuff has to get moved by truck. In January of 2022, it started pivoting back down, and I'll use my hand again, at the same angle as 2019, just like this, at the same angle coming back down. And then in August, it leveled out to where we are today. And by the way, it's a normal marketplace.
Yep.
No one needs to jump off a cliff.
I hope everybody hears him
There's no
that.
super problems. And I'll give you here's the normal rate in the market, in the spot market, is about $2.20. And that's over a 5-year span. Last week we were at $2.46. And yes, that has fuel in it, which is causing headaches for a lot of small carriers, but it's still at a profitable rate. Now that takes into consideration that the truck driver or the person that owns the truck is operating with efficiency. Because that's super important. When diesel fuel is as high as it is and it's your major cost, if you're not efficient, you're losing out. And then of course you got to negotiate the fuel surcharge index well enough. But the point being is the marketplace is behaving completely normal. It's been at this level since August, and it's been on a plateau that's been going for almost 5 months now, 6 months now. And it doesn't look like it's going to change. The first quarter is historically the lull market.
Yep,
and then we start coming out in March and April to the market expanding back. But it's still not going to go back to 2022. It's going to be a normal marketplace. But watch, and here's the biggest thing to watch. So we've had 4 capacity crises in the last 18 years, 19 years. They've all been driven by government regulation. Every single one of them. People say, oh, the pandemic that was a health thing. It was our government asking us to behave a certain way.
Yep.
So it's a government regulation on the entire populace. But the point being is that when things behave normally, you don't want to freak out, because we see a lot of data, and we compare that data to the whole market data. We use our friends at FreightWaves as well. We love our friendship with them. And so just to compare all those together, and when things are behaving normally, you just kind of go, okay, how do I need to adjust? Are we going to have a recession? Likely. When any market runs as high as it does for as long as it does, you're going to have inflation. It's going to correct. The Federal Reserve Board's going to correct it, and we're going to move back down. It probably won't be very long. It's probably going to be sometime middle of second quarter. That's what most of the pundits are talking about. But still won't be that difficult, and the marketplace will keep moving on because, and here's the most important thing, full truckload freight is not forecasted to go below the norm. So the norm of its growth, so it won't go below the norm. If it goes below the norm, look out. We may have a bad recession, but it's not projected to. Super important to look at. So we share this all the time because we want the marketplace to know, because we're transparent with data.
I love that.
We want to make sure people can adjust accordingly.
It's powerful information.
Well, it's important to look at. I'm not a data nerd, but I'm a math nerd, just like Hannah. Super math nerd. And so if you can just look at the numbers and you go, well, the numbers 1 + 1 still equaling 2. I'm going to be okay. I'm still going to have freight to move in the marketplace. It's going to be a challenge. This is trucking.
Yeah,
it's never normal.
It is always a challenge.
It's never normal.
My God.
So that's sort of the long explanation. I appreciate you being patient with me, letting me to explain it.
No,
That's
I love
kind of
that.
what's going on. Yeah.
We're going to go a few minutes over just so I can make sure to ask Hannah, because it's one of my questions on my list for Hannah that I wanted to ask, which is, I'm always in the world of Amazon. How do you handle, the unknown, the volatile market, the transportation world of going up and down? What is Amazon's approach with these types of scenarios?
Well, that outlook made me feel a lot more warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, me too. I was like, I kind of want to give him a hug.
I would say, so late, like last year, Jeff Bezos was speaking on the status of just economy in general. And I remember he said, it's probably time for consumers and companies to batten down the hatches. And when Jeff Bezos speaks, we take that pretty seriously at Amazon. And so
I heard he's important.
Interpreting what that might mean, even for just us in freight, I think it really pushes us to figure out the right overlay between customer obsession, which is our kind of like tenet number one, but frugality, and how do I do more than less with less? And so if you put those two together, you're kind of left with, well, I guess I just shouldn't spend money on things that don't matter to customers, I think is what we took away from that. And so in a year like this one, I think we are being smart and cautiously optimistic with the investments that we're making. Having said that, I would say the other significant and core piece of Amazon's DNA is long-term thinking. And we always say we're in it for the long term. We play the long game. And so, saying that we don't spend money on things that don't matter to customers doesn't mean that in 2023 we're not going to innovate and we're not going to experiment and we're not going to place bets. We may place fewer, more confident bets and potentially like pool more resources behind the bets that we make. But I share your, long-term optimism.
Yeah.
Like this too shall pass. If you don't like volatility, you're probably in the wrong industry.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And we want to be ready when it's time to grow again. So I would say that's how we're thinking about it.
Can I point out one other quick thing? And this is what's really cool. All right. So
You're what's
no. I'm just hanging out with two cool people. So, but that's what makes me cool. So and I have 4 daughters, which makes me even cooler. So what was really interesting, and when you look at the market analysts, and look, they analyze everything to death. They get more quants than anybody else. And so you just look at what's the overall optimism on that end. And I heard one of the guys who runs economics for Forbes talk about this. He said there's 3 reasons why America won't experience a really deep recession. Number 1 is the American population has more savings now than in a long time.
That is true.
So you weather bad storms better when you have more, to offer to the market. So you have more cash in your bank. Number 2, businesses have more cash right now because of the previous market, so they can weather the storm. You know who else has more cash than anybody else right now? Banks. You talk about wanting to look at how's money going to react. So you have those 3 things together, and it just gives you an idea that it's probably not going to be near as bad. Plus, our economy is still running fairly well against things. And I think about, like, a lot of people looking at the layoffs that are going on right now, and I think what you see is a lot of these businesses try to employ as many as they could to take on the surge, just like trucking companies did to take on the surge, because they had to be able to satisfy the customer need. They want to be 100%. Customer obsessed. They want to follow the Amazon method. And so, but now that that's come down to normal, those people are not efficient. And it's not that they're not efficient, but using those resources aren't efficient. So this has to change. That's unfortunate for a lot of people in the market, but it's the way companies continue to transition themselves so they can still stay customer obsessed and service the customer the best. So it's just kind of keep moving along in a normal marketplace.
I could talk to you guys for hours.
Well, thank you.
I think you guys are both so intelligent and have such a unique perspective on the market. I wish we could go on for hours, but we have a conference to go to. We have Las Vegas to enjoy. We have alcohol to drink and trouble to start. So we will see you guys next Friday, and stay tuned for next year's Lean MasterMind conference so you can join us with all the fun. Thank you for staying in with us.